said scan.
Yeah, just scan the room.
Oof. It's kind of lopsided. What is it? Never mind. It's just a real quick. Alright. So, prison is already a bad place just in general. It's gross, people are treated like animals, and even though these people are criminals, they should still be treated like humans, even if they committed a crime. Most prisoners do not have the right to vote in this country. I think that's a bad thing, because you're a human, you're in America, you should have the right to vote no matter what. Over 2 million people are in prison in the United States. The majority of people are from ICE. Most prisoners are held in state and federal prisons. It is very difficult to get out of the system once you're in. So if they have the chance to vote, that would probably help them get out of the system because they would feel like they're more part of society. 17 states do not let inmates vote while incarcerated. 15 states do not let inmates vote when they're incarcerated or when they're on parole or probation. And 13 states take away the right to vote just in general. For if you're in prison, you don't get the vote right now. This causes inmates to feel outcast from society and just from people in general because they feel like, oh, I lost my rights, so I'm not able to be a productive member of society. Voting might be able to change that. Here's a scenario. What if you were in prison for like a minor felony, like you were caught with narcotics or anything? You do your time, you believe that you felt like you didn't want to be in prison, so you did your time, you were a good person in prison. You still don't have the right to vote. The one state that you have the right to vote while you're in prison and once you get out is Maine, but we're in California, so you don't have the right to vote when you're in prison and when you're on probation, but you get it right after you're done with probation. Most people feel like this is a bad idea. Inmates mostly feel like it's a bad idea because some of them are on charges that they didn't cause, like they were caught with something that they didn't feel like was theirs. So they feel as if they should vote because they want to feel like normal citizens. They want to feel like they are part of society. I understand that someone breaking the rule is like the worst thing ever. Like if you break the rule, you should be punished for it. But you shouldn't have your rights taken away. Voting is it's part of the amendments, it's part of the Constitution. Everyone should have that vote no matter what happens. It should be a basic rule, a basic right that you should have no matter what happens to you. If you're in prison, you should have it. Voting makes people feel like they're part of something. So the 2018 election, a lot of people voted, and most of the voters came from Maine because inmates are allowed to vote in elections. Maine is also a democratic state, so they legalized a lot of stuff. They legalized gay marriage first, they legalized weed first. So they're ahead of our time, basically. Just in general, states should let inmates vote, even if it's in a minor election. They should vote in a minor election, not in a major election. But I also understand that there are murderers out there, there are rapists, there are people with bigger charges than, oh, I was found with weed, so now I'm in trouble. So I was thinking an idea to the solution is the people with the minor charges, once they get out, they should have the right to vote. No matter what, they even should have the right to vote in prison if there's an election coming up. The people with the major charges, the murderers, the rapists, all that stuff, they should have the right to vote after they prove themselves like, oh, I will be a functioning citizen, I won't do my crime again. This makes sense because the people with the minor charges, they're like, okay, we can vote, like I can go back into society, I won't feel like an outcast, I won't feel like an animal because I was in this prison state. The idea also helps the people with the bigger charges think of what they did, and once they think about it, they talk to like a judge or something, they can feel like they are more part of society, and they won't feel like, oh, I murdered this person and now like I can't do anything anymore. It's bad that you murdered someone, don't murder anybody, but if you do murder someone, you should still have the right to vote, even if you get up, like once you get out of prison, you should have the right to vote. Everyone should have the right to vote. Voting is just an important thing in America. We are a democracy. Voting is a major thing. We vote for Senate, we vote for House of Representatives, we vote for our president, vice president, all that stuff. Not a lot of people participate in these votes because of the state that they're in. So the prisoners don't vote because they are in prison. They do not have the right to vote. A lot of people, like immigrants and stuff, do not have the right to vote because they're not part of the U.S. It's just, in general, people should vote because stuff happens in the state, like bad stuff happens, like we had Trump elected. It's because not a lot of people voted. So like, the majority of the South votes all the time because it is a small area. That area is Republican, so that's why Trump became president, because all the Republicans on the South side of America voted, and they voted for Trump. So that's just what happened. Majority Democrat states have a very small voting population because a lot of immigrants, for example, California, we have a really big population, but not a lot of people vote because the majority of the people in our state are immigrants. This leads to, again, Trump being president, not the laws that we want passed. Like, it took forever for gay marriage to be passed just in the country in general, because not a lot of people were voting for it in the Democratic states. But the South was like, no, we're gonna vote no for this. But everyone else is like, we don't have enough voters, but we're still gonna vote yes, but it just didn't even out. So, giving the inmates the right to vote, this will help voting increase because they're gonna be voting inside the prisons. And it just helps them in general just feel part of society and just live with that. In Maine, a lot of the polling stations are made out of cardboard to make it simulate like an actual voting thing, so they feel like they're on the outside world, but they're still in prison, but they're being productive members of society, which kind of helps everyone in general because everyone gets the right to vote, everyone does this. Just in general, so back up, just going over it again. Prisoners should vote, all that stuff. Even if you have the people with the major charges, not vote until like they go to a judge and be like, okay, we're ready, and the judge asks them questions of, okay, yes, I'm a productive member of society, I will not commit my crime again. But if they still do commit their crime again, the vote should just be taken away in general because they're not listening to society in general and the laws and everything. People with minor felonies should be able to have the right to vote no matter what. Once they're incarcerated, you still have the right to vote. Once you get out and you're on parole, you still should have the right to vote. It's a basic human right. Everyone deserves it. So, if you guys want prisoners to have the right to vote, y'all can start a petition. Y'all can talk to our congressman, Paul Cook. He's in Apple Valley right now. It's just in general, you should start, like, Florida, they made like a law, an actual law, so people were just petitioning that law. They're like, prisoners should have the right to vote. They have this right, they need this right, because they are still human. And even though they are behind bars and they are treated like somewhat animals because they are behind the bars, they are human, they should have rights like everyone else. So, in general, prisoners should be treated like humans. They should have the right to vote. They should be productive members of society, even though they are behind these bars, and they are just in general, they did commit a crime. Yes, I do agree with that. They did commit a crime, but they still should have the right to vote because it just helps them become more productive members of society, and they don't feel like they are outcasts in our country, which a lot of people do. Like, a lot of prisoners do. So my mom works in a prison every day, and she talks to all these inmates, and all these inmates are like really nice people. They did do crimes because they're serving life sentences right now at my mom's prison. They did do crimes they did commit a long, long time ago, but now they are productive members of society. Like, they do work and stuff. They work at the prison, they work in the kitchen, they work in the laundry services. So I feel like those people should be able to have the right to vote. If you're serving a life sentence and you spend the majority of your life thinking about that life sentence, you should have the right to vote. Like, you're gonna be like, okay, I did something bad, now I wanna help the country and like be able to vote. They're working in the prison now too, so it just helps them a lot. Yeah, so next time you're at the voting stations, and just think about, not a lot of prisoners do have this right to vote. It is a bad thing, I think, in general, because everyone should be treated equally somewhat, unless you are punished. It depends on the crime, basically. But everyone should have the right to vote because it is a basic human right. Thank you.